Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and wow, what a crazy day TSNP had today. Now, if you saw my video that I posted last night, hopefully you guys were actually prepared for this time. I figured based on the chart that it could crack under 10 cents, and it absolutely did that, and it had a beautiful double bottom at 7.5 cents, and then went on to bounce up 85% to almost 14 cents. So if you guys dip bought anywhere, in the 7, 8, 9 cents area, and you sold anywhere, 12, 13 cents, you made an absolute killing today in the matter of, an hour or two. So I really hope that you guys were able to take advantage of this. If you were, please drop a comment below. I had some people commenting on the other video that they were able to take advantage of it, and it feels great. I love to be able to help you guys. But yeah, if any of you guys had some good trades, comment below, let me know what they were. And yeah, today I just wanted to talk about what the chart did today, how you can read it, and what I think the next couple of days are going to bring because of what it did today. So hopefully this insight will be helpful. As always, remember to smash that like button if you find these videos helpful, and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on post notifications. And yeah, let's dive into my computer and check out these charts. All right guys, so I'm here at my computer, and this is the chart today for TSNP. And I mean, it was pretty crazy. Now, at the open, the very first minute, we had a little bit of a spike, but I did not buy into this spike because I was not convinced that it would hold. And if you saw my video yesterday, you understand why. But if we go here and look at this chart, it really looked like a head and shoulders pattern. And I expected it to keep dropping significantly today. And so when the intraday pattern is going against the overall pattern, you need to take in mind and keep in consideration, like, what is the overall pattern on a monthly, couple month basis doing. And if it's going against that trend, it's more likely to reverse it than not. And for that reason, I didn't buy into it. And that was a good thing because, as soon as it hit this peak on, the second minute of the day, it started tanking, went red on the day, and then broke down. And you can see here, it tried to bounce off of, I guess 11, bounced off a little bit, and it was, uptrending, but it had this level right here. And I just want to zoom in so you guys can see, I was expecting this thing to break down, and it had this resistance here at pretty much 12, and it kept getting a little bit lower. But I mean, we can call this 12, move this up a little bit, but it never was able to break over that. So you can see it tried, it failed, it tried again, it failed again, and then it tried again, but it couldn't even really make it up there. And then after that, it just, it kind of went down. And after that, once we get to this this next line here, which is obviously the low of the day, once it cracks that, like, that's always a bad sign. New low of the day is a sign that it's, it's pretty bearish, and you should probably be cutting your positions if you have them, because at that point it dropped below that, and then it continued on down, and it tested 10 for a little bit here. But there were some pretty big buyers, but I mean, you can see these volume candles were absolutely enormous. In this we had, what is this? We had 6 million traded in 1 minute. On these big dips, we had 6 million in sellers come in. So like, I expected there to be a couple million buyers at 10 cents, and there absolutely was. But when you get 6 million sellers in a minute, like, that wipes through pretty much any type of support that you're going to have, even at those big psychological numbers. And because of that, like I predicted yesterday in that video, it just absolutely ripped through this and kept going down, it kept breaking through these numbers. It touched 9, and then it broke through 9, ripped all the way down to 8, broke through 8. We didn't really know how far this could go. Like I said in my previous video, like, there's not a whole lot of support because of how high it went up until, like, probably 4 cents. And I was thinking it's probably not going to fall that far in the middle of the day, just because, all the way from 14 down to 4 cents, that's kind of a lot to drop. Most stocks don't drop 70%, 80% in one day. So I was thinking, it was probably going to base out somewhere around, 7, 6, 5 psychological whole numbers. But today it ended up basing out at a quarter. And that is, if you look up here, when I click on this particular candle, the L is the low of that candle, and that is 0.75. So in this case, that was, like the quarter. Obviously, that's 3/4 of 10 cents, and it double bottomed here. You can see it touched this once, bounced up, but failed and came back down, but it couldn't break through that again. And you see that it touched it again here, 0.75 again, but it still didn't break that. And there wasn't really any risk of it breaking, it looked like. I did not buy in here, because I have no buying power, because I made a silly mistake that I'll explain in a little bit, and also because I wasn't entirely convinced that it couldn't fall a little bit farther, down to 6 cents, something like that. But I think definitely, hindsight, this would have been a very good buy. And I think, if I wanted to chase and if I had a little bit more buying power, I definitely probably would have chased this, when it broke out over this one, and proved that it could not just double top here, because that would have been a pretty bad sign, if it bounced here and then double bottom, but then couldn't break up above this right here. But since it did, that was pretty good signal for going long, and it was able to continue here. Didn't really break down. It was able to get over this resistance here, got under it, kind of held, and then went up, broke back above 10 cents, which is a very good sign. We think it might fail, but then, it held. It pretty much held. It went under for a little bit, but it didn't really have a huge panic, which you would expect if it's going to break down. It barely went under, went, to 9.8 cents, and then it kept up, kept continuing up. We had, a little bit of an ascending wedge there, and then the stock just continued on up. And you can see here that once it broke out past this previous resistance level, which was, the level that it couldn't break out before that caused it to fail, once it broke out past that, it had a crazy, pretty much, I don't even know the word for it. Like hyper, is that the word? Exponential run up. That's what it is. So if you see, like, as soon as it broke out past this, it just had an exponential run up. So you could have literally bought here and made what is that? Almost 2 cents a share in like 5 minutes, which is crazy. But if you guys bought at the double bottom here or anywhere in here when it broke out past this, or when it broke out past this, or when it broke out past 10 cents, like you would have been looking fine, honestly. So this was a really good dip buying opportunity. And if you guys made money on this, I'm super happy, because that is the goal. And here's the thing: if we look at the overall percentage on this, today it's up 2.5%. Wow. So like if you held through this entire drop, which I warned you about yesterday, you had all of that only for 2.55% gains. And to me, that does not seem worth it, because if you go here, you can see if I bought 10,000 shares at 0.75 at the bottom and sold it at the top, 0.139, that is an 85% return on investment. Obviously, you're never going to time it perfectly, but you could easily have gotten in at 8.5 here and sold at 13. I don't think that would have been hard at all. And because of that, you still could have gotten, 70% in a day that otherwise, if you just bought and held, you would have had 2.5%. So, if you guys know these drops are coming, take advantage of them. That's what it comes down to. So now I want to talk about the chart going forward. And if we look at the 3 months here, this is actually now a bullish pattern, because this particular candlestick right here, if you guys haven't learned them, I'll put this article in the bottom, and it's a great type. It's a great thing to learn, I would say. But there's a lot of different candlesticks, and what they tell you can be very important about the long-term future of the chart in terms of these reversal patterns. And specifically, this one is a hammer candlestick. So if you go here, I can also put this in there. But this candlestick basically is a reversal trend. And if we see here, that is an example of a hammer. So, it looks like it's bearish, it looks like it's tanking, but then we have this long shadow, this long wick, and then it should have a confirmation to the upside. So in this case, that means that there's a ton of sellers, but the buyers were able to recoup all the way from the bottom. And the fact that this closed, above where it ended yesterday, despite going down that far, is actually a pretty good sign, in my opinion. And like I said, with the warrants having the strike price of, it should be 10 cents based on the math. 10 really should be a long-term bottom for this stock. So that's not to say that this stock couldn't drop tomorrow and continue to drop, until we get to this 4-cent support here. But I personally, after seeing today, I would expect it to be more bullish tomorrow, honestly. So, potentially something that we could see tomorrow is the typical morning panic that we've seen pretty much every single day for the last, week or two. We could see that morning panic, and then after a small morning panic, it could take off and continue to run, back up here. I would not be surprised by that at all. So I would say based on this candle, based on the fact that it appears to be, rejecting that head and shoulders bearish pattern. It appears to reject that want to break down here into the 4 cents area. I think this could end up being better than we thought before. So this might not be as bearish short term as we thought before. Now, this does make me want to bring up something, and it's called a dead cat bounce. And for those of you who haven't heard of this, a dead cat bounce is where there's a bearish trend on a stock, but there's a little mini bounce where the stock goes up despite the overall downtrend, but this little bounce does not signify a reversal of the downtrend. So that is something that you could be worried about for today. This could be a dead cat bounce, and it could continue on down here. So that's why I wouldn't say, buy a ton of shares and hold them no matter what the stock does, because I'm positive it's going up. Like, I'm not saying that at all. It definitely could be a dead cat bounce, and if you don't understand that metaphor, like, the stock is a dead cat, and like, even if you throw a dead cat hard down, it's even a dead cat is going to bounce. I know it's kind of macabre, it's a little bit gruesome, but even the worst type of stuff is going to have a little bit of a bounce before it keeps going down. So in this case, we want to make sure that that's not what is going on here. They did have some of those today. I guess I look at the. If I look at the 1 minute chart, we had some times where it looked like it was trying to get some green candles in there. We had a little bit of a dead cat bounce in here. So that's why I wasn't super confident with this before it started getting up here. But yeah, and then also something else that I wanted to mention very quickly is the wash sale rule definition. And someone was commenting about this, saying that I don't know, what I guess taxes are or how they work. Again, this is in a Roth IRA for me, so there is no reason for me to, worry about the tax implications of what I am doing. And if you guys are doing this outside of a Roth IRA, then this is going to be more relevant for you guys. But basically, if you're taking big losses on this stock, you can't deduct those losses if you buy the same stock within 30 days. So if you have a $5,000 loss on TSNP right now that's unrealized, and you sell the stock, but then you buy it back, the next day, you're not gonna be able to deduct those losses. So that's just something to take in mind. Again, that doesn't apply for me because this is within my Roth IRA, and I don't have losses on this stock, but that's just something to keep in consideration. Now, personally, I believe that no amount of deductions is, going to be worth missing a 70%, 80% gain in one day, but that's just the way I feel. I always think that people who end up having more losses to avoid taxes don't realize that maximum you're being taxed 40, 50%, and obviously losses of 100% is never going to offset taxes of 40, 50%, but that's just the way I feel about it. Some people feel differently, so just keep this in mind if you're trading this stock outside of a Roth IRA, because it does become more important. And I really recommend checking out these candlesticks because they're very helpful, especially trading intraday. This stuff, and then also some of the patterns. I guess I can throw that in there, the head and shoulders. I'll try to put that in the description so you guys can check it out, and hopefully it'll be helpful. But yeah, now I just want to go very quickly for those of you guys who follow me and care. I'm very transparent about stuff, so here you can see I'm actually back under $17,000 because today I closed out a $683 loss on the stock TTCF that I made a video about. I actually chased it a little bit. Like I said, I broke my rules, and in this case, that turned around to bite me in the butt because I got in here right when there was I would say, a big excitement at the market open. So I ended up buying some here, and then it tanked right away, and I tried to size down, I guess size up. I tried to average down. I broke my rules. I never like averaging down because you just add to a losing position, and stocks can always go down farther than you expect, but in this case, I think I averaged down here, and then it went back up, and then it kept going down, and I averaged down here, and then it just kept going, and I meant when I saw right in here that it was going to crack 19, I knew that it was going to crack 19 based on the price action, so I was like, all right, I'm going to get out half of my shares, and I had 500 shares, and for whatever reason, in my head, 100%, half of 100% is, 50, and I typed an extra 0, so I ended up selling all 500 of my shares instead of 250, obviously, which is half of 500. I don't know if I thought I had 1,000 shares or what. So I ended up selling all of it. I wanted to keep some position because I think I mean, everything I think about the stock hasn't changed. I sized in more than I should have done based on, you know, having money to buy opportunities like TSNP and stuff like that. I didn't even have the opportunity to buy PLNHF, and it had the exact bounce that I was waiting for. If you guys have been watching me talk about that stock at all, you know that I sold it right when it was on the day that it hit 640. I sold it here because I thought that, you know, it could have a reversal a little bit because it looked like it was a little bit, I would say, overextended, you know, after breaking out past this 4 line. If I put it here real quickly, right here, you know, after breaking out past this line here, it pretty much went on a $2.50 run without any real red days. So, you know, I figured it would have a pullback, and it pulled back to 504, you know, almost exactly to the 5 that I was expecting. I actually did buy some here, but I sold it because it looked like it was going to crack, and then I ended up, you know, using that remaining buying power to get this stupid stock that I ended up going way too big on. So don't break your rules, guys. It's more important to follow your rules than to make a profit, because if you break your rules, long term, you're not going to be consistently profitable. So even if, you know, it might make a difference on one trade, never do that long term. And it's just not worth getting in the habit of breaking your rules. So ultimately, this did exactly what I thought it was going to do. I'm still very bullish long term on the prospects of this stock. Nothing has changed about the finances of it. Just something to consider is the fact that, you know, long term, there actually is a decent short interest on this stock. So there's a lot of short sellers who are interested in it. You know, it had a 20 million float, and there's like 3 or 4 million shares that are being shorted right now as of, you know, November, and I think November 30th, and it was down here then. So I mean, I think it has a lot of shorts up in this area, you know, because there's some resistance. So I would say if this stock can break out past that, it's probably going to squeeze them, and, you know, definitely go test up here. There's going to be a lot of shorts in here, but if it breaks out past that to all-time highs, it's definitely going to squeeze and go a lot higher. So just be aware of that. I'm definitely going to be getting back in this stock as soon as I get my buying power back. I'm mad I sold all these shares. That was not the goal. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys that loss to, you know, prove that I am transparent. I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes, but you need to make your rules and stick to them, because otherwise you're going to have losses that are going to blow up your account. And no one wants that. So yeah. Ultimately, I think that's the message to take away from this. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for today. Remember to smash that like button on this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those post notifications, because I'm going to be continually putting out videos like this. And yeah, if you have any questions, if you made money on this video, drop a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.